All right, good evening, and welcome to UpsideDownDrafting.com. I'm your host, Jonathan Bauman, and welcome to this first episode of Mock Ad Hoc 2015. And we're really excited that you're tuning into us here. You're going to check us out and talk about the preseason. You know, we're basically in June. We had the NBA Finals just wrap up. We got hockey wrapping up, and then you got baseball, but no one's watching. So whether you're driving in your car right now to work, or you're on your lunch break, or this is just the back half of your day, we're just thrilled that you want to be a part of this show. It's going to be a 45-minute program. We're going to do this every Wednesday night, and I have a panel on tonight that I want to introduce you. But first, I'll just real quick tell you a little bit about myself. I've written 2 books on iTunes and Amazon. One's called Fantasy Football via Upside Down Drafting. The other one's called How to Enhance Your Live Draft. I've written some articles on FantasyKnuckleheads.com. I encourage you to check out what Kurt Turner's doing there. But more importantly, I'm just an average Joe. I play fantasy football, and I'm a commissioner, like the rest of you commissioners out there. So it's a lot of fun to do this show, and so we're going to go ahead and get it started with the rookies. You're probably wondering, why do I have this board of all these premier players if we're talking about rookies? Well, the show is called Mock Ad Hoc, so at the end of the show, we're going to talk about 3-on-3. So we're going to pick 3 killer facts on 3 different players on this board, so we'll leave that for the end. But first, we're here to educate you and entertain you, so want to welcome Quinn Conley, my good friend. He was on the cover of my book. A lot of people were even asking me, hey, is this guy an actor? Is he real? So Quinn, welcome to the show. You bring about 20 years of experience. You were playing fantasy football when you did it by hand. How are you tonight?
Doing great. Thanks, Jonathan. It's great to be here. Yeah, I'm 25 years into fantasy football and gets better every year.
Awesome, man. So, but naturally you're a Steeler fan, and so I'm a Niner fan. So it's tough, man, because we're always jealous of all the rings you have. We're going to leave the Niners kind of behind, and we're going to move on and introduce our next guest. He's Dave Delmonico. He's a really good friend of Quinn, and I think here's a guy who, like I wrote in my second book, you want to align yourself with a guy who's an expert, who knows a lot about fantasy football, playing a lot more years than you are. So if you're a rookie out there and you're just starting and you want to follow some advice, that's the best advice I can get you. Surround yourself with people who are better than you. Dave's better than me. He's not welcome in my league because he'd win it all. And welcome, Dave. How are you?
I'm good. Yeah, you're right. I probably would win it all. It's just like the Seahawks taking down the 49ers every year lately. So same kind of concept. You just don't want any part of that.
Yeah, that's the problem. He is a Seahawk fan, and but we're so glad to have you on the show. And I know, Dave, I rely on a lot of your advice and what you give. So, no, just thanks for joining the show. So we're going to kick it right off. We're going to go right into this. We're going to give 45 minutes here dedicated to the rookies. So we're going to start it off. Tell me a little about Kevin White. We watched him in the draft. We've seen kind of what the Bears are. But from a fantasy perspective, Dave, what can you tell me from this guy? He's West Virginia, right? He had a boatload of yards. I think he had like 1,400 yards in college. Got a huge size. He's basically now going to be the new Brandon Marshall. What can you tell me about this rookie?
Yeah, big kid, number 7 overall, 6'3", big wingspan like Brandon Marshall, same type of receiver, 4.35 40 speed, so he can really fly. I think they're looking to replace Brandon Marshall. Unfortunately, he got hurt yesterday at practice, and he's day-to-day. So they're trying to figure out where he's at with that injury. They're not really giving any information. But the interesting thing is they're bringing him along slowly at this point during the minicamps because he's been running with the second team almost exclusively. So they really have not given him a real opportunity with the first teamers, is my understanding at this point. But what you've got with him is, yeah, he's replacing Brandon Marshall. We know Cutler's a complete head case, but that's okay because he likes to sling it. They're going to throw it. The thing to remember here is not that he's replacing Brandon, but that they've got former Broncos offensive coordinator Adam Gase. Trestman's gone. He's over in Baltimore. And so we're still going to have a pass-first offense, but it won't be the same offense you saw last year. Alshon Jeffrey will certainly be a stud. You got Martellus Bennett. Kevin White will work himself in there. Again, big, fast, strong kid, but is he going to make an impact right away? It's going to be tough. We're going to have to wait to see how the plays out, see what he looks like in the preseason. I don't think if you're drafting at this point that you want to be real aggressive. Maybe a wide receiver 3 in the back end after you got a couple of solid studs already.
Quinn, let's turn that over to you. I know you've mentioned this in several backyard conversations. You're not a big rookie guy, but what do you see about this guy? Is it something where you're still sticking to your guns and you'll never draft a rookie wide receiver because the big networks have always said, that's like the last thing you want to do. We've seen the past 20 years rookie wide receivers kind of be non-existent. It was more the running backs. And in the past years, we've seen maybe 10 years ago as the rookie quarterbacks. Is this somebody you're interested, let's say, round 9 or 10?
Absolutely, maybe even earlier. And really, Jonathan, there's a lot of talent out there, but it's really about his size. When you look at the trend the last 5, 7, 10 years, it's about the size of these receivers. With the exception of the Seahawks, the best corners in the league are still 5'9". When you get a guy who's 6'3", 6'4", 230, there's just nobody who can cover him, and we're seeing that trend. With the exception of the Antonio Browns and the really good route runners in the league, all the dominant receivers are the big 6'3", 6'4", 230 guys that nobody can cover. So the Bears are going to be horrible again. They don't have any defense. They're going to pass a lot, and they're going to look for him in the red zone.
Well, they still got Alshon Jeffrey, so I think they're looking to him first, and you got Bennett. So he may not see as many touches down there in the red zone. You've still got Forte, who caught like 106 passes last year. So I just think he's a 4th option. He's not going to, put up – Alshon Jeffrey's going to draw the number 1 defensive back, which is great. He'll get a number 2 corner, but he's still going to have to face a lot of press coverage, and he's going to have to be able to get himself open in those situations.
All right, great. Well, let's move on real quick. We're going to kind of switch gears here. We're going to look at a running back now, Melvin Gordon. And I know from San Diego's perspective, they're really excited about this guy, right? Wisconsin, huge leading rusher, just an amazing candidate. Let's go to you, Quinn, on this guy really quick. Did you get a chance to watch him in college at all?
A little bit, and I think they got him in this position because he's going to start and he's going to get the ball a lot. When the Chargers are playing well, they're running the ball effectively, and if you look at the other running backs they have, they're talented, but they're third down backs. They're out of the backfield guys, Brandon Oliver, Danny Woodhead. Donald Brown's an older guy you can depend on if you need him to spell him, but this guy's going to get 20-plus touches a game, and he's going to get a lot of touches in the red zone, and I think he's a first-round draft pick if you're looking for a running back. If not, he's going to be in the 2nd round. I mean, he's a top 10 running back, even though we haven't seen him get an NFL carry yet.
Right. So Dave, let's throw that back to you real quick for kind of a counter comment. Is there anything you don't like about Melvin Gordon? I mean, we're looking at Donald Brown, Danny Woodhead, Brandon Oliver.
Yeah, those 3 things I like most about Melvin Gordon. Danny Woodhead, Brandon Oliver, Donald Brown. Those 3 guys are his best friends because he's going to start over all those guys. He's going to get all the touches. I don't have him maybe quite as high as Quinn. I see him more around running back 15 or 17, but he's definitely the first rookie running back off the board. He's definitely a guy that you're going to put in your running back 2 by committee because there's no longer enough studs to really make it happen. If you get Adrian Peterson or Jamaal Charles or Arian Foster and have 1 stud running back, Marshawn Lynch, you're in good shape. You're going to be drafting a handful of running back 2s, of which he fits in perfectly to see which one you can play every week after we see who's really going to get the carries. But I think the touches will play out, and he'll be a stud. I don't think you'll see 400 yards like he did in college, but he'll be a real good back.
Good. So, hey, if you're listening to this program and you're wondering, hey, what's another running back out there that's a rookie? Maybe you missed the draft, right? Maybe this is your first year ever playing, or maybe you're like, hey, give me another guy. How about this guy, David Cobb? So we're going to turn it over real quick to the Tennessee squad. And, I'll be the first one to admit, last year I was really high on this guy right here. I'll just throw his name up here. His name was Bishop Sankey. He plays for Tennessee, right? So last year, we thought easily this guy was going to be able to beat out Sean Green, and it didn't turn out that way. I was snake bitten.
We might be a little strong.
What are we going to do this year about, with Bishop Sankey? You got a rookie here in this David Cobb. 1,600 yards with like 13 tugs last year in the end zone. He could be the steal in the draft they're talking about. Tennessee, I don't think they've given up on Sankey, but what do you think about that, Dave? We'll turn this over to you. Tell me about this kid. Have you watched any film on him?
I have seen a little bit. I mean, he's a good, strong runner, but I think, again, his biggest benefit and the reason that they drafted him, the reason he's there, is because Bishop Sankey didn't play out the way they had hoped last year. So they're going to go with a whole new offense with Mariota. They're going to take a whole new approach to it. We're going to see – I think you're going to see Bishop Sankey, and you think you're going to see David Cobb splitting carries. This is one you want to watch real closely in the preseason because these two guys are going to go at it. And whoever really has success in the preseason, whoever gels with that offense, probably whoever's catching those short little quick passes from Mariota out of the backfield is going to be the big beneficiary of that offense. And there'll be some yards and some points to be had. But probably one or the other, or they piece it together and they're both useless.
So the listeners out there are definitely going to ask, right, this question. Let's not overdraft a guy like this. Quinn, so are you thinking a guy like this, you're looking at maybe around 13, 14, if any? Or is this a guy you just be like, hey, I'm going to roll the dice and see if I can get him as my last pick of the draft?
I would not take him whatsoever unless I was in a 12-team league. I wouldn't draft him. I'd look for him on the waiver wire. It has nothing to do with him or his talent. It's his team. I mean, the Titans for the last 3 years have not had any running game. They don't have a sufficient line. We have unknowns, new offensive coordinator, new quarterback. They're going to be losing a lot, and they're going to be throwing a lot. So I don't think it has anything to do with him. He's just not right in the right situation to excel at the beginning. You know, week 7, week 8, they get their offense going, he might be a viable option, but I would not draft him at all.
Quinn makes a good point because you don't want bad teams. You don't want their running backs. You want bad teams. You want their receivers. You want their quarterbacks. You're going to put up passing yards the whole late in games while you're getting hammered. They're not going to have a lot of leads and be milking the clock anytime soon.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt. So moving on, we're going to take a look at another rookie. So this is, again, the 2015 rookie class. And I think, you know, a lot of you may still be wondering, what are these guys talking about rookies? Well, let's look at Odell Beckham Jr. last year, right? I mean, if you would have had that guy earlier on, I think your whole season would have changed. So with that, we're not going to go into exactly what he did. We all know that. But let's look at this guy, Nelson Aguilar from USC. You know, I watched this guy last year, and I can see him as a guy who actually works a West Coast offense brilliantly. He's going to catch the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and then he's going to get that Bill Walsh, you know, after yards catch. This guy's 198 pounds, 6 foot, you know, Philadelphia Eagles. So now we're talking about Chip Kelly. Gone is Macklin. He's out, right? So now you're looking at Riley Cooper, some other guys, Jordan Matthews. Let's talk about this one, Quinn. Aguilar, how good is this guy? I mean, Chip Kelly, he's high on this guy. What do you think?
I think he's a great fit in that offense. You know, you heard me rave about size before, but if you get that quick throwing offense like Chip Kelly has or what you're seeing now in Pittsburgh, you can see a fast, good route runner like him or Antonio Brown excel. And you're looking at a guy that returns punts, possibly kickoffs. He might throw in a couple extra touchdowns that way. And Philadelphia is going to pass. They're going to pass if they're winning. They're going to pass if they're losing. They're just going to pass the ball. And if they can keep Sam Bradford on his feet, he does throw a great deep ball. You know they're going to go deep. And Bradford, when he's healthy, has proven that he can throw the ball deep, and they're going to be looking for this guy.
Dave, let's turn that over to you real quick. Dave, any thoughts?
Yeah, the quarterback situation is the biggest thing. Bradford's still not healthy. They say he's still limping around. Aguilar looks like a good prospect. I would look a little bit back at the problem USC receivers have had going into the NFL. They look all world in college. They come in, Marquise Lee, a few other guys come to mind that haven't really performed that well. So I want to take a wait and see approach. I like Chip Kelly. I like the offense overall. I don't love the quarterback situation. I love that Macklin's gone so he can go to Kansas City and catch 0 touchdowns for the whole season because their quarterback can't get the ball outside the numbers. But it's a good offense if he can get himself in there. And if I like Bradford, I like him a lot better if Bradford ends up being the quarterback than Sanchez.
Good. Yeah, good. I mean, you know, here's a guy. I know for me personally, I like the way this guy runs routes, so I'm going to be high on him, higher than most. But again, we're talking about rookies. So right now, this is June, right? We don't know exactly where we're going to go. But I think what's going to be fun in this show is to look back and say, hey, we were talking about this guy and we were looking at, let's say, round 13, and we were going to try to steal him in round 10. Maybe your other guys in your league. You got to really know your league now. So if you're listening out there, figure out what your guys normally do. If no one takes rookies out there, be cognizant of that and see if you can steal a guy. Last year, just to kind of revisit, I had Trey Mason, I had Jeremy Hill, and I had Bishop Sankey. I did end up getting C.J. Spiller later on, but hey, man, 3 out of 4 is not bad, and you throw those darts and you get one of them, it can change your whole year. We're going to switch gears real quick, and we're going to move over to the Indianapolis Colts. We're going to look at a guy named Phillip Dorsett, and I'll just kind of take the lead on this one really quick because out of all the guys that we're going to talk about tonight, here's a guy who's a track star at Miami. 60-meter dash, post a best score of 6.8 seconds. Folks, that's very fast. I think that's 4th ever best in Miami career or in the history of the college. He had 17 tugs with 121 receptions. Dorsett was in the first round, so huge here. They got Andre Johnson. They got T.Y. Hilton. So, Dave, talk to me about this guy, Phillip Dorsett.
Yeah, this guy's got super wheels, right? He's super fast. He's going to get moving on the outside. But I talked to someone last week, and they said he's working on all 3 positions. So he's doing himself a favor because he's also got Dante Moncrief to worry about. Andre Johnson's coming in. T.Y. Hilton's going to be good. But it's that 3rd spot that him and Moncrief, who's a second-year player, are going to be battling for. So Dorsett's going out there, flashing some speed and flashing the ability and the knowledge to learn multiple positions. Get yourself in this offense because Andrew Luck is going to pipe it out there 600 times next year and throw for 5,000 yards. You don't need all of it. You just need a little bit. If you can get in the situation with Luck, you're going to have 900 yards, 50, 60 receptions, and maybe catch fire. Somebody gets hurt, you step into a bigger role. So it's a guy that you can definitely throw a late pick on, and you want as your wide receiver 3 as you're going towards the end of the season probably.
So, Quinn, real quick, I'll throw it over to you. So, obviously, Luck, right? I mean, in my book that I wrote last year, I was so high on Andrew Luck. My uncle trained him. He's a phenomenal talent. Do you just, if you don't get Andrew Luck in your fantasy football draft, do you just want anybody that he's throwing to on your team just so no one else has him? I mean, I know that feeling when, let's say you're down in a fantasy score and all of a sudden you have a guy like this who could just turn your team around, and perhaps the guy you're playing against has Andrew Luck. This is one way to kind of counterbalance that. Is this a guy on your list, a guy speaking here to our listeners that, Quinn, here you're not high on rookies overall. What do you think about this guy?
Oh, I'm absolutely high on him for a couple of reasons. As Dave stated, let's face it, Luck's going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's going to throw for 40 touchdowns. They pass the ball all the time. They don't throw the ball to their backs out of the backfield at all. So even if we throw Moncrief in there, divide 5,000, divide 4. You got 4 guys who are going to get 1,000 yards. Andre Johnson's no longer a deep threat. He's a possession receiver. He's going to get 70, 80 receptions. He doesn't score touchdowns anymore. That means the TDs are going to T.Y. Hilton, and they're going to this young kid. And the other thing I like about them is Luck doesn't get hurt. He doesn't miss snaps. You don't have to worry about him playing 9 or 10 games and throwing in a backup. He's going to be in there. He's going to play 16 games. They're going to score 30-plus points a game, and this guy's going to get a lot of looks. And he may not be a 6-7 reception guy, but that's another thing we can talk about. I don't play in point reception leagues, so we're really looking at yardage and touchdowns. And this guy's going to come in right out of the gate, and he's going to see a lot of looks.
Yeah, very well said. So we're going to turn it back over to the running game here real quick. So another rookie kind of out there is Todd Gurley. So St. Louis Rams, right? This guy looks really good. He's a phenomenal talent. I know he's had a history of some knees, and some people are worried about. I personally am not. I don't care about his knee injury history. I think now that he's with the Rams and Jeff Fisher and that system, I think this guy's bound for greatness. That's my personal opinion. He's going to have some company with Trey Mason, a guy that I was high on last year as a rookie, and I did sneak him in below the radar. A lot of people in my league were even curious why I even took a guy that was behind Zach Stacy, but it turned out to be gold for me. Dave, let's turn this over to you. Tell me about Todd Gurley. What do you think about him?
Yeah, you're right to love Todd Gurley, but you're not going to get him where you want unless you really step up. I think somebody's going to jump up and grab him really early. You're going to see guys overreaching on him. Think about every guy that's come off an ACL. The next season back, he's just not quite the same. 2 years, next season, Todd Gurley might be Marshawn Lynch. This kid's amazing. But this year, he may not touch a ball in the preseason. He may not take many snaps in practice. So he's going to be slow to test the knee. Then he's going to be slowed up in the preseason. Hopefully he learns the playbook. He won't need a lot of getting up to speed with that stuff. But the knee doesn't come back quite like it used to. Adrian Peterson's the only one who came back the next year and had the big year. I think you're going to have to go higher than I'd be willing to go to get him. If you could add this guy as your third or fourth back, in the 7th or 8th round, 9th round, but I don't think that's going to happen. Somebody else is going to – the name's too big, right? He was taken early. Everybody's heard his name. Everybody's seen him play in college. But with the ACL, I want him next year probably in the 1st or 2nd round.
Quinn, real quick, any comments on him?
Yeah, I agree with Dave. I think this is last year's Bishop Sankey. It really has not as much to do with him as it's going to be a feeling out process. The Rams are an absolute mess offensively. They don't score a lot. They have different coordinators, different players, different quarterbacks. I see him being a lot like Le'Veon Bell. First year, it was coming off a knee injury when he joined the Steelers. Didn't get a lot of touches, showed some promise, and year 2 became a monster. I think people are going to draft him way too early. I would get him very, very late as a backup, as Dave stated. Someone's going to take him too early, and they're going to pay for it. That's my opinion. Nothing to do with him. It's just kind of the circumstances. He's not an early pick. He's not a starter at this point in fantasy football.
That was pretty good that Quinn only went with the Le'Veon Bell and didn't go like Rocky Blyer comparison. I thought that was pretty fair. They're all Steelers in some form or shape.
I like that. Let's move on. So next we're going to talk about West Coast team here. So the Oakland Raiders. Niners always love beating up on them. Bay Area rivals, but Oakland, they took Amari Cooper, and we're talking about Alabama football here. Maybe one of the best polished receivers ever. I mean, he's incredible, right? So I don't care if you don't watch college at all. You know about this guy. I mean, this guy's going to be now with Derek Carr. I hear Derek Carr's already buying him steak dinners, fine wine. They're gonna hang out and get to know each other really well. And I think Carr is excited to have a guy like this. I mean, can you imagine? So, me personally, this guy's on my radar. A lot of the listeners are probably like, all right, where would you take a guy like this? I mean, dude, I personally would be willing to spend maybe a 10th or maybe even a 9th round on a guy like this. What do you think about that, Dave? Is that too late for a guy like this, or are we just reaching?
No, it's not too late. Actually, you're going to have to go earlier to get him again. Same guy. He's got the big name. Somebody's going to take him early. If you saw the Monday night game earlier this season, David Carr went to the praise God thing like 35 times. He prayed for Amari Cooper. Amari Cooper lands in his lap. He's over there praying some more that Amari Cooper is going to stay healthy and he'll have somebody to throw to for 10 years. So you're going to see a lot of him. He's going to be effective. He's my number one, no big surprise, rookie wide receiver. If you can get him, they're going to be losing. They're going to be losing big. They're going to be losing late. Carr's going to have to throw for 1,000,000 yards just for them to win 4 games. So, Cooper's going to be their number one option. Latavius Murray will probably be back there, catching some passes out of the backfield. But they don't have a whole lot of stuff to work with. They're building that thing back up slowly. He's going to get a lot of action. I don't want him as a number 2 receiver, but as soon as I start looking for a number 3 receiver in the 6th, 7th round, I'm looking at him. I'm sizing him up against Victor Cruz coming off of a knee injury or some of these other guys. I mean, he's just one of those guys you're going to have to move up to get, and I think he'll be effective.
Great. No, absolutely. All right, real quick, we're going to kind of switch things up here real quick, and we're gonna actually talk about a little ad hoc item here. So we're gonna dedicate this portion of the show to ad hoc. So here we go. Quinn Conley, back in the day, give me your very first ever fantasy football player that you can remember on your team. Like, let's say, you just started, you heard about this thing. I know you guys were keeping chicken scratch and stuff like that at donut stores, but and you wouldn't find out who wins until Thursday. So, real quick, tell me, who was your very first fantasy player you ever remember drafting?
This is going to sound very weird, but the first league I was in, you had one defensive player, and you got 2 points for a lead tackle and 1 point for an assist tackle, and I had Jesse Tuggle of the Atlanta Falcons. The guy made like 20 tackles a game. And speaking of your thing, I mean, this is pre-internet, before Al Gore invented it. But we would have to get the tackle statistics out of the USA Today, and I would have to go to a public library on Mondays. USA Today was the only one who had the tackle statistics, and the guy got like 18 tackles a game. So I do remember him more.
Way to win a game.
Yeah. So he stood out. Other guys were getting DBs hoping for a 3-point interception, and I had this guy get me 20 points a game by making a lot of tackles. The Falcons weren't very good in the early 90s, so they spent about 70% of the time on defense, and that guy was a tackle machine.
Dave, how about you? Give me your very first memory of a player you drafted.
It comes down to who do you remember the first guy that you took that just tore it up and won your league for you, and it was Priest Holmes. Priest Holmes coming out of the Ravens, gets traded over to Kansas City, and everybody's like, oh, I don't know. You pick him up late, and all of a sudden he just explodes, and you can't even lose because he's so good.
Yeah.
It was just ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember Priest Holmes. I had him the year I won that initial league. For me, that was that was years ago as well. But how about this guy? How about marvelous Marvin Harrison? Marvin Harrison was the earliest guy I remember when he just blew up. I mean, for a stretch there, I think all my buddies would hate me because he'd be my number one pick, and those are old days going backwards. But I think at this point we're going to kind of leave the rookies alone because we're going to probably revisit them. But as we kind of wrap up this show, I think as promised, we're going to just do this 3-on-3 real quick. So again, we want to try to educate you and entertain you. So we're going to go to my board real quick, and we're going to start with you, Quinn. Give me 3 guys off this board that you can see, and just give me 3 quick killer facts about why should you take the 3 that you're going to choose. I've kind of just thrown in a hodgepodge in no particular order. It's June, right? Hey, it's early. Still got summer vacation. People are, reading, articles or website stuff, so it's too early to predict. But give me 3 guys that you like.
Right off the bat, Andrew Luck. I mean, I just think he, as I said before, he doesn't get injured. He's going to throw the ball a lot. He's proven to just be an absolutely incredible professional quarterback. And I don't think we've seen the best out of him yet, believe it or not. I think he's going to get better. We saw guys like Manning and Brady and Roethlisberger get better sometimes in their 30s than they were in their 20s. So right off the bat, he's the one that shines for me. And additionally, I need to stop talking so I can see your board again.
How about now? How about take a look again? I got it all the way down to I think Mike Evans is below. But, again, in no particular order. I'll tell you one guy I threw in here was Rob Gronkowski right here. I really do think, I know with this whole Tom Brady thing, he's a guy that you might want to mention. I mean, I'm a big upside-down drafter, but I think Gronkowski could be powerful.
Yeah, and the other name that really jumps out at me, Jonathan, is Adrian Peterson. We got all these rookies and these other people who've been traded that are really people are going to get excited about. But, Peterson is the Jim Brown of our era. The guy runs with incredible passion and anger, and he's just the most physical runner I've seen since Walter Payton. And he's got a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. He feels like the Vikings do not value him. They're not paying him enough. This guy's going to come out with a vengeance, and he's going to dominate the league again. And because the Vikings' offense is so pathetic, I think he's going to slide down the board. And, the guy's just a monster. He catches balls out of the backfield. He averages 5 yards a carry. He's a touchdown machine. And I think he's going to be right back where he left off.
Dave, do you think he slides down past number 5? I'm not sure if I agree with slides down past number 5, but I know what Quinn means by that. I mean, there's some people that are going to let him slide. What do you think?
He doesn't get past 2 and probably 1. I think he's that good. I think everybody's going to be dying to get Adrian Peterson again. I think you're going to see Him and Jamaal Charles probably up at the top of the draft board. Marshawn Lynch going 1, 2, 3. I would take him. I would take him 1 right now.
All right, so just for the record, right now, in June, this is June 17th. This is Mock Ad Hoc, episode 1. You're saying who are your 3 on 3 right now?
You want 3 facts on guys?
I just want 3 players, and yeah, you can give me three quick killer facts
that you'll like here. Justin Forsett. First of all, former Seahawk, which means absolutely nothing because he never did anything for the Seahawks. But last year, he finished as the number 8 running back in the league. He had 80-plus yards, total yards, in 11 games, including 9 straight last year. That's consistency. Now you've got a guy coming in to coach the offense in Mark Trestman, who was in Chicago last year. He only had 44 catches. So he had 44 catches. He was the number 8 running back overall. Matt Forte last year, 102 receptions. He's going to see the ball, and he's going to see it often. He's going to see it in a lot of different ways. Justin Forsett was number 8 last year. First year he's ever had over 1,000 yards from scrimmage. He's a little guy, but he's not used up, man. This guy has not had 1 million carries every year that are wearing him out. His count is a little lower than it might be at this stage of his career. He's got a new offensive coordinator who's going to feature him and throw him the ball in all kinds of different places. Look for him to really come back and do something like that again this year.
All right, so here's the question everybody wants to hear that's listening to this program. What round are you going to take Forsett? Again, it's early in June, but you got to back that up. What round?
I think he's my number 2 back that I'm looking for a number 2. If I can get him as my second back in a group, see, I want to get my draft strategy is going to be get a stud, pick a Marshawn Lynch and Adrian Peterson at the top. If you can't get somebody at the top, then it's running back by committee, right? You're finding guys. He's one of those first guys I'm going to look to probably after I get a wide receiver or 2. So early in round 4, late in round 3, I think he's coming off the board. I think you're looking to add him to your roster.
No, that's very good. I like that. I'll give you my 3 real quick. I want Antonio Brown. I want Matt Forte. And I would love, and this is dreaming, I'd love to get Odell Beckham. Somehow those 3 to me just scream great start, consistency, and longevity for the playoffs. I don't think I'll be able to get all 3, obviously, but hey, this is June. This is the fun part about the show. You get to just throw 3 things out, and gosh, the killer facts are all backed out by last year's stats. Last year, I had Jordy Nelson and Demaryius Thomas on the same team. Had I had Antonio Brown, I would have had all 3. And I just think Antonio Brown for years now, I haven't had him on my team in a while, and I always draft guys who I like. He's going to be on my team this year.
I had Dez Bryant, Demaryius Thomas, and Odell Beckham Jr. And I will say this, loved him, love everything he does, but Victor Cruz will be back. So don't overdraft Odell Beckham Jr. He's going to be a stud, but know that a lot of that's going to get divided up, and just this week, Eli Manning came out and said how much he loves Randall. So Randall's going to see some work from the slot. He's going to have a lot of weapons at his disposal. It's not just going to be the Odell Beckham Jr. show like it was last year.
And I have 1 guy left. I only said 2, and it's not because I'm a Steeler fan, but I haven't seen a player like Le'Veon Bell in a long time. And last year, the Steelers gave him the ball a lot. He's going to see the ball a lot. He catches the ball a lot. He's a touchdown machine. And the thing I really love about Bell, he never loses yards. If they hand him a ball in a situation where he's caught in the backfield, he always falls forward and gets 2 or 3 yards. For a team that's always had great running backs, you go back to the Foster and Willie Parker and Jerome Bettis and all these guys. This is the best I've seen on this team. And he is a Jamaal Charles. He is an Adrian Peterson. And he's probably more versatile than both of them because he catches more balls than Peterson. And he's probably not going to get hurt the way Jamaal Charles does. The guy's a beast. He's got breakaway speed, catches the ball out of the backfield, catches the ball deep. I think he's the best player in football next year going in.
I like it. I like what I saw to Le'Veon Bell. He's amazing.
The 3 games will stop him from being the best player, but he might be the best player, not statistically.
And okay. What have we heard on that? I mean, they're talking about maybe minimizing that suspension, or it went from 4 down to 3, and that's
It went to 3, and he's not even appealing it right now, so he's accepting that. I got one more for you if you want it, John.
Oh, absolutely. I'd like to hear it.
Matthew Stafford. Let's not forget Calvin Johnson was hurt last year. Golden Tate stepped up and played a number 1 wide receiver role. Here's a weird stat. 5 times a quarterback has thrown for 4,200 yards or more and only thrown for 22 touchdowns in NFL history. Twice it's been Matt Stafford. 4,200 yards, 22 touchdowns is over 250 points in a standard scoring league. He's done it twice. He won't do it again. He'll throw for 5,000 yards. He'll throw for 30 touchdowns. He's got Pettigrew. He's got Faurier at 6'5" and 6'7". He's got Amir Abdullah, if you want to talk about rookie running backs, who's going to see the ball. You got Joyke Bell, who likes to catch the ball in the backfield. Reggie Bush is gone. I'm looking for 5,000 yards, 30, 35 touchdowns, maybe more out of Matthew Stafford. I think it's a monster year for him, and just too many weapons at his disposal. Unless he completely craps all over himself, he's going to be a stud.
I like it. And they play on Thanksgiving, and for some reason they always play really good on Thanksgiving. I have a question for you, Dave, because you are the Seahawk guru, and everybody wants to know, what the heck is Jimmy Graham gonna do on the Seahawks? What can we expect? I mean, I'm a huge Jimmy Graham fan. He's won me so many titles. Tell me what he's gonna be like as a Seahawk.
Yeah, he's gonna be Jimmy Graham light. Russell Wilson will look for him in the red zone. He'll look for him in the flat, but he's not going to look for him like Drew Brees, because Russell Wilson isn't Drew Brees. Russell Wilson's not going to throw for 5,000 yards. He's not going to throw for anywhere near 5,000 yards. Jimmy Graham might actually have to block every once in a while for Marshawn Lynch. So there's some different things happening there that his production, and I say this begrudgingly, is going to be down. The question with him, and you can't guarantee touchdowns, can he catch 15 touchdowns? Because the red zone is going to light up when they get down there. He's an option, but don't forget, Beast Mode wants his scores too. Russell Wilson likes to run a little read option and run a few in himself. So I'm just not sure how many opportunities in the red zone there are for him. He's going to be a weapon, but I think the numbers come down because they're just not going to throw it as much.
Yeah. So really, I guess what a lot of people are emailing me, right, because I'm so high on the upside down draft method is, so Rob Gronkowski, do you think if you have the number, let's say you have the number 7 position in a 10-man league, is it okay, green light, take Gronkowski, number 7?
Absolutely not, with Brady out for 4 games. Brady loves him. Brady looks to him all the time. Not that Garoppolo wouldn't look to him. Who wouldn't look to the beast in the middle and try and get him the ball? There's a real advantage at tight end with him, but it's still too much of a risk. Remember, he's been hurt maybe 2 out of the last 3 years for at least 3 or 4 games. With Brady missing for 4 games, some people have got him as high as 3 or 4. There's an advantage at tight end with him, but I'm not banking my season on Gronkowski.
And Jonathan, I think it really depends on how your league is set up. Dave and I play in leagues where your tight end is a wide receiver. If your tight end has to be a tight end, you're going to be taking those guys much higher. In our league, Gronkowski and Jimmy Graham, these guys go 3rd and 4th round sometimes because they're not getting as many receptions as a wideout. But if you're in a tight end only league, there's only a handful of tight ends that make the difference. And, you've got to look at the difference between number 1 and number 4 and 5, and sometimes it's 50 or 60 points, and you may take a flyer and take them early in the 2nd round.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's a great point when you bring up the differences of scoring and everything. I think, a lot of the times you see these rankings out there, and I think people assume it's for all leagues, but you got to remember, I mean, there's auction drafts, right? There's PPR, there's standard. That really isn't standard anymore. That's the funny thing. I mean, I don't even know what you call standard anymore. It's sure not the same thing I'm used to, because it seems like PPR has taken over. So, no, those are all really good points. And I think what's going to be fun is looking back to this podcast and really, dissecting it later on as you kind of measure up a lot of these guys right now. It's still early. Got some, OTAs going on soon, and you're going to see some action. I highly encourage everyone to watch some film as it comes about. But hopefully this show has brought you a little bit of entertainment and education. We're going to wrap up and close real quick. Any closing comments from you, Dave, as we kind of close the show and episode 1 in the books?
Yeah, just that, you won't hear me getting too high on the Seahawks stuff. I try to keep myself positioned to not be biased, so I know that I carry a bias. I try not to draft Marshawn Lynch in the first round every year because I know I love the guy. So, that being said, I also hate Gronkowski, and I'll never draft Jay Cutler unless, of course, he can help me win a championship late in the season, and then he won't, and he'll screw me, and I won't pick him. So.
Yeah, good thing Jay doesn't take any of this personally.
I do take it personally. I'm still upset about the Steelers Super Bowl.
Yeah, I know. It's only been 7 or 8 years, but
Roethlisberger's quarterback rating was.
From my end, Jonathan, I'm getting excited, as you mentioned. I'm not really a big basketball guy anymore, but Dave and I are huge hockey guys, and with the Stanley Cup ending this week, that really signifies it's time for football to start. So baseball is on there in the background. I think we watch it here and there, but not with the same fervor. So now, we're going to have we got camp starting, and preseason will be around the corner, and it's time to get geared up for football.
Absolutely, and real quick as we do that, and Quinn's so right. This is the time. Once 4th of July hits, usually for most people, it opens your eyes to it. But we're a little ahead of the game, and I like the fact that I brought you guys on. Thank you for the time tonight. Check Dave out on his Twitter handle there. He's at CHAWKS fan.com. Pronounce that for me, Dave.
At Seahawks fan 1212.
I like that. That's phonetic, right?
Seahawks with a C.
Seahawks with a C. That's awesome. Hopefully they come in 3rd place in the division this year, and the Niners come in 1st, but that won't happen. I'm at Twitter handle UDDWorks, and just any sort of comments or any sort of questions you have. But definitely, we've enjoyed having you on tonight. We'll let you get back from your lunch break, or drive your vehicle safely as you get to your next account, or if you're just chilling on the couch, enjoy whatever you're going to do next. But thanks for tuning in to us tonight, and we look forward to seeing you on future episodes. We're going to do this every Wednesday night until the preseason is over. So for Dave, Quinn, I'm Johnny B, and have a great night. We'll talk to you guys later.
Thanks, John.